because I do believe there's a wave coming. I genuinely believe it went dead for a bit. Some people might find this controversial, right? But I'll put it out.
If you were to have an exhibition match with someone.
I would have exhibition.
Yeah.
With Gr8, where do I see it in 10 years is...
Boy, you're a naughty boy. Going out, yeah.
Seeing the effect it's had on our community as well, there's absolutely no chance I would entertain alcohol at my shows, never.
You know, like laying that dog out, you can do it in the ring, you can do it in a controlled environment.
Unless you look the part, you know, no one really respects you. But our existence, like why we're still here, that wasn't because we gave out food, it was because we fought in battles, outnumbered. So if you look at some of the most prominent projects happening in the band today, were from people that were monolithist. I think that's what Man United, they go through that.
Yeah. So guys, welcome to our first Sikh Warrior Project podcast. I know we've done a few, you know, like reaction videos, but enough of us now. Now we're gonna, you know, bring in people that can actually give you guys some great information about what's going on in our band, people who are doing great work in our band, and we're just gonna speak to people. So our first guest, and we're so grateful to have Hari Singh down from Gr8 Fighters.
No, thanks for having me down.
So who is Hari Singh? For people that don't know, before we get into Gr8 Fighters, who is Hari Singh?
So you stumped me on question one, because you don't really get asked that question. But I guess it depends on who you ask. If you ask my kids, it'll be like, yeah, super dad. If you ask my wife, if you ask my family growing up with, you get some colourful language. But if you ask my mother-in-law, she'll be like, so yeah, it just depends on who you ask.
If you ask me, you're the Dana White of Sikh boxing, the Dana White of Sikh boxing.
Nobody deserves this more than him, and nobody deserves this more than his family does.
That's too much bomb, man. We're very, very, very basic level. Like you could say, just we haven't even got started. So, like as much as you know, Gr8's going somewhere and it's now popular amongst the community. From my perspective, we're literally at infancy level, and you know, there's so much more we can do to improve on and build on the brand as well.
Wicked. Okay, sick. Honestly, from what I know about Hari Singh, the first time I met Hari Singh was at Iknashana Boxing. Yeah. And obviously, I knew about Gr8 Fighters. Everyone knows about Gr8 Fighters in the martial arts world. And you came up to our store. We had a store based at Sikh. And, you know, you were asking, and it was yourself and Sunny Singh from Wolverhampton Castle Boxing Club. And so genuine. Like, I could just tell when you're speaking to us, you really care for what you do, for the seva that you do. And even when we did interviews with yourselves as well, the stuff that you guys came out with was just amazing. So from that point onwards, I was like, wow, like, just can't wait to, you know, hopefully do more work with Hari Singh. And every time I see Gr8 Fighters, it just uplifts me. So we're going to go more into that now about Gr8 Fighters. So what is Gr8 Fighters? What does it mean, and how did you come up with the name?
So I'm glad you've asked what it means, because a lot of people think it means great, as in like the whole Gr8, but I think that's quite corny. So it was never supposed to, you know, be interpreted.
That's what it was originally, actually.
But you know, naturally we knew a lot of people would, but the GR stands for grassroots.
Okay.
Because this was a grassroots initiative for Punjabi children. The 8, we were going to do GRB, which is like grassroots boxing. Yeah. But it didn't have a ring to it.
Cool.
So for me, it was like, I want to bring a number into it. And when I was looking at the numbers, 8 is like symmetry, balance. And I associate that with martial arts. Wow. So I just thought Gr8 and let's just go with it. And yeah, everyone's got it wrong, but
that's actually amazing. Like knowing that now, it puts a whole different perspective on it.
Just sick. Yeah, I was like, well, what does it mean? But I'll wait till we do the podcast. And I'll find out then.
In terms of what is Gr8 as well, like, so if you look at our community of the past 30 years, I know you lot a lot younger than me, but everyone trained back in the day, like inter clubs and things like that have been going for a long time. So we're not doing anything that's new or reinventing the wheel. What we wanted to do with Gr8 was look at, can we do something on a national level which is completely different, that has never been done in our generation, where you walk into a hall, it's full of Punjabis, there's screens, there's proper sponsors, there's a branded ring, there's tables, there's lights, cameras, there's a stage, flares, everything. So we wanted to do something which is completely different that had never been seen. So when kids walk in that room, they'll be like, I want to fight on this one day.
Yeah.
When parents walk into that room, it's like, you know what, I want to bring my kids back to this. So for us, it was like the wow factor, you know. So we wanted people to come in there, look at it and think, right, I need to come back here.
Yeah.
And Maharaj Gr8, that's what's happened.
Wow, 100%. Do you think that answers what made you start it as well? So
what made me start, well, just when I say me, there was us, someone called Hari Singh, who's also was behind this whole idea of Gr8. Darren was about like the gloves, the merchandise side of things. For myself, it was like, no, I'm all about the fighting and the events. And there were multiple reasons, as I mentioned. Number one was I felt like our kids are going on a different trajectory in terms of back in the day, there was not much to do when we were kids. So every day you was training. It doesn't like football, boxing, taekwondo, Thai boxing, whatever it was, you would train, and you train daily as well. Whereas kids now, there's a lot of the iPads, social media, I think it's been a big influence. So I thought, how can we wake up the kids? It's not just wake up the kids, but how can we wake up the parents to say, actually, this is where our kids belong. You know, this is our DNA, this is our bloodline. So also a big factor was the Sikh hate crime. We've all seen these videos going around of things, you know, jewelry getting pulled off and getting battered and things like that. And sometimes naturally when you watch it, you're like, come on, Singh, fight back, come on, throw a punch. 100%. We all go through that. But then it was like, but what are we doing to encourage these kids to be able to fight? So, you know, have we got the gyms going? Have we got a platform going? So again, there's so many different reasons, but ultimately, if you was to just narrow it down, it's getting things in the gym.
Guys, if you're liking this video and you've not yet subscribed to us, what are you waiting for? Click on subscribe now to keep up with more videos like this, where we interview influential people in the Sikh martial arts space, react to funny martial arts videos and controversial topics, and vlog our training and competitions. Also, don't forget to like this video. Enjoy the rest of the video. I think social media is such a big thing right now, and I think with what you're doing, although you made people start training as well, to speak to us about how many people you've seen over the years that have actually started training as well. I know there's a decent number of people who have gone into
amateurs. So we've get hundreds of applications now per show, and the reason why this is quite a lot of people don't see what happens in the background. You have to vet these people. So if they've come from a trusted coach that I know, then I can converse with the coach. If they've come independently and I don't know the person, I like to call them. I think we were just talking about this earlier, where some of the kids, it's like, I will always like to ask, why do you want to come on the show? Why do you want to take part? And you have things like, actually, you know, I just want to batter someone. I want to knock someone out. I want to hurt someone. And initially they weren't the people that we were looking for. I used to say to them, look, Singh, we're trying to build slowly. We're trying to build confidence. We don't want to go there for a street fight or a scrap. We want to show our community that actually we can box. Whereas fast forward now, they're actually the people I want to talk to. Not because I want to get them to fight for Gr8, but I want to understand, why do they want to batter someone?
Wow.
Why are they feeling like this? And Gr8 now has turned into this thing where, yes, you look at the events, you look at the fighting, but we've got some issues in our community, and a lot of kids that have got no sense of belonging, or they don't feel part of some type of, you know, unity in their lives, whether it's relationships with families. A lot of kids are coming to us with some concerning things, and we're just grateful that something that started off as like a martial arts project has now turned into something else where kids feel like they can approach us, and if we can help or divert them to the right professional, then, you know, Maharaj Gr8, that's way beyond I'd manage it will go.
I find that interesting though. Like, you know, usually all of us train martial arts. Usually when you train martial arts, you think you kind of get humbled and you don't really have that mentality of, I want to smash someone. But it seems like there's maybe something bigger going on, maybe other things in people's lives. I don't know if these guys train, the ones who do want to come and knock people out. Maybe they just want to, they don't even train, they just want to go for it. I don't know.
Are there people that train?
A bit of both. There's a bit of both, and I think you're right in what you said, because if you look at the kids that take part and they have a good coach, like a coach's role is absolutely vital around these kids, because they don't just teach them boxing. Naturally, when you build that relationship with a fighter, you go to your coach for life advice
100%.
as well. So I kind of feel like with some of these kids that are having these types of feelings, there's more of an underlying issue. And sometimes they just need a chat. Sometimes they need some prachar, or sometimes they might need some proper medical professional advice as well. And I think that now that we've got this platform, we shouldn't just think about the martial arts side of it. We should be looking at actually there's ways we can help build confidence in these kids and try and help these kids feel more reassured and get them into gyms, build their confidence. That's been really on my mind recently.
Wow. Is fighting, the actual fighting part of it is 20% of the whole thing.
Yeah.
80% of it is the confidence.
Yeah.
Knowing that you can handle yourself, knowing that, everyone talks about you walk into a room, then you don't feel insecure, right? I feel like the recent situation that happened in Midlands of, these like young kids, like bullying each other, fighting each other. I think that comes down to insecurities. It comes down to you feel like you need to prove yourself to your mates, to people around you to make yourself feel bad. But a lot of people who grow up training, and a lot of like the kids we see at Gr8 Fighters now, I can imagine someone says something to them, it's probably like, all right, mate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
I know
it's
what I can do to
interesting
you.
because if you look at confident kids or kids that have the ability to fight, they don't get in fights.
Yeah.
If you look at kids that are skilled in weaponry, they never pull out their weapons.
Yeah.
Do you know? And
That's true.
that's why, like, so if you're confident, you carry yourself differently, you walk differently, you talk differently.
Yeah.
And if someone is thinking about, let me bully this guy, they think twice as well. So there's so many benefits of, obviously the physical side, but the mental side of course, we know majority of it is mental.
So how does this tie with purpose? So for a child to feel like they have purpose, how does martial arts affect that?
I think with the whole purpose side of things, like for me, this is just my perspective. For anyone that's struggling with purpose, whether you're Hari Singh or whether you're not, but as a Punjabi person, anyone struggling with purpose, just go and read upon the life of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. And I promise you, if you read Maharaj's whole story from start to finish, you will gain purpose. In fact, you'd look at the clock and think, I'm running out of time.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I'm running out of time. I want to be a Khalsa. And I think, you might not become a Khalsa straight away. It might take you some time. We all have different strengths and weaknesses. But once you start that journey and you learn about the Guru, there's no better example in history to be looking at and reading at when you look at the life of Maharaj. So anyone struggling for purpose, there's lots of things I can say here.
Yeah.
But there's nothing greater than the Guru. What leaders or kings or emperors do you know in history where they've sent their kids out to the battlefield knowing their kids are going to be shaheed? And then after one becomes shaheed, you send the other. Do you know? So like Maharaj knew, like, this is a long play. This is a bigger picture. Maharaj knew that we're going to create an army, we're going to create the Panj Pyare, and then the Panj and Sikhi will flourish, in years to come. So yeah, anyone struggling with purpose, go straight to the Guru.
Oh, I agree. Oh, brilliant, man.
I just want to ask something. It's a bit of a tangent, but it's something related to what you said earlier. When you were saying back in the day, everyone was training, like all of you guys were training and stuff like that. Do you think there was like a decline in that? And then now maybe it's coming back up again? Because for us, when we started Sikh Warrior Project, we felt like no one was training. But maybe it's just the community we're in. Maybe your guys' community is a bit different. We feel like there's things that are out of shape. They can't run. They don't even have the mentality that I want to train. They just want to play games and stuff. That's what we thought. But what do you think?
Back in them days, so like I'm talking 80s, 90s, everyone was training.
Wow.
Literally, like when I think about the Punjabi community, our Sangat, our sort of like circles, there was nothing to do. We didn't have all these phones and stuff, and everyone trained. And I'm not just talking like I'll train once a week, twice a week. There was training every day.
Wow.
And competing as well. And I think that the difference now is, like, if you think, because I do believe there's a wave coming. I genuinely believe it went dead for a bit, and now there's a wave of Sikh fighters, which I think will go quite far. Why that's come, I'm not quite sure, but a few things I put it down to is when our parents were working and working hard, they wouldn't have these aspirations about sports and to push the kids into sports, because it was all about, we come to this country, make money, and if you did sports, great, but it was never like, hey son, I want you to be a professional, or I want you to go really far in sports. Whereas now Sikhs are like, you could say middle class people, right? And now they can push their kids to go into sports. Now it's like, actually son, you know, be a footballer, be a boxer. So the mentality's changed. But I also think that when you look at boxers, MMA fighters, they've come from some crazy rough backgrounds, you know, places where they're struggling to make ends meet, and they have no choice to fight. They have no choice to get punched in the face to make it and do something with their family. Whereas with us, we're quite comfortable.
Yeah.
And, you know, do we really want to go through that? You have some elite few that are going through that in the Bassi. We saw Gully fight last night as well.
Yeah.
These guys, they don't have to do that, but they want to do that. And I got so much respect for them.
Yeah. 100%. Like, I say it all the time, is like, these people that are doing it, it's Vajal in itself.
Yeah.
You know, you go to the big stage, people are wondering like, who is Hari Singh? Who's in the Bassi? This Singh, you know, this Khanda, where's this flag?
Yeah.
People ask questions. So that's just great. So look, whether people, you know, aspire to go to the big stages or not, we all know how like martial arts are going to affect you regardless whether you go to the big stage or not. But that's just a big bonus, isn't it?
Yeah.
Getting to that.
That's the cherry on top. Like this whole Gr8 project was just to get kids in gyms, just to get them to be able to learn about self-defense, martial arts, boxing. But whether you choose to just be like a person that goes to a local gym, the amateurs, the professionals, at least you know how to fight. And as a Khalsa, every Khalsa needs to learn about combat sports.
Must know how to fight.
Must.
100%. So you're talking about influence. You were saying how, you know, like a big part of that is how there wasn't phones back in the day, in the 80s. So it was easier, you know, you had to put your energy somewhere, sort of thing. And then you mentioned parents. So what role did your parents and your family play to get you into martial arts?
So my brothers and me and my brothers, and I say my chachi as well, because my chachi were a lot younger than my dad. So we didn't have the nephew chacha relationship. It was like brother relationship. And they were just crazy. So, you know, they got us into Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Very, very young. Like you couldn't walk into any of our bedrooms and see the wallpaper. It was Bruce Lee everywhere. So, you know, you think about the 80s days, you know, you go to school, you come home and you're watching Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
Come home, Fist of Fury.
Fist of Fury.
Yeah. So it was like everything was Bruce Lee. So we were absolutely obsessed with Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, maybe Jet Li a little bit later.
Yeah.
So we came from that era, and my chachi would spar with us. So like, come get the gloves on, spar.
Yeah.
You know, and so my dad was one of these dads where no matter what, you're going training. You know, and I want to play football, you know, because I tried for Derby, but my dad would like, no, you're going to Taekwondo. Wow. So our craft, you could say, like the main sport we got into as kids was Taekwondo. Yeah. So we fought British championships, English championships, locals. We did, you know, we cleaned up all that, me and my brothers did. And we were out of that by the mid-90s. So my brother Suk, actually, he was one of the youngest ever Punjabi black belts in this country. So in the 80s, I think when Suk was 10, he turned into a black belt. Now, when you say that now, like, well, what's the big deal? The big deal is now that if you've got money, you can fast track. You pay for gradings and you get them quick. Back then, there was a Korean guy called Master Hyali Cho. Very, very famous, world-renowned person. He did our gradings. So if you are out of sync in anything, he'll fail you. And Suk became a black belt in that era, where you would wait for gradings once every so often, so you couldn't fast track it. And so, you know, he was a big inspiration to us as brothers, like as in how good he was at martial arts. And obviously he's diverted into music now. But my dad, you know, to even afford the fees for Taekwondo lessons, it was quite hard back then just to get a few quid together. Do you know what I mean? So, but somehow, no matter what, his priority was training over everything else. So mum and dad would always get the money together. No, you're training. So parents, chache, my older brothers, everything was like obsessively about training.
Wow. So a bit of information you've been hiding from us. Your brother Sukje, you said is a Taekwondo black belt. He's true school.
Yeah, it's true school. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Suk, he, like, as I mentioned, he was one of the youngest ever Punjabi black belts at age 10. It was an amazing achievement what he did. And that obviously inspired me and my other brother as well. And Suk's been, he's obviously on his music path now, plays 11 instruments, and he was quite pivotal, not just in the whole martial arts side, he was actually quite pivotal in the Sikhi journey because, you know, people look at Suk and judge him and think, oh, he's a Monna, he's into music and all this stuff like that. But he's into Sikhi as well. Wow. And look, everyone has their time, you know, everyone's journey is different, like, you know, and a very quick story about that. Suk used to say to us when we were younger, go to the Gurukar, we used to have Prachar class at Derby Singh Sabha, and he used to keep saying, go to class, and we used to ignore him. And there was one day, he kept texting, go to Sikhi class, and none of my mates were doing anything, no one was going out. I even went to Blockbusters to try and look for a film for half an hour, and I couldn't find a film. And then his text came, we're at class, come. I was like, oh, God, all right. So we went to that class, and believe it or not, that was the first time I saw a Hukumnama, Sikhi to the max.
Wow.
And that was it. From that day onwards, never looked back.
That's
so he's
amazing.
been very influential, and people might judge him now because he's in the whole music industry and that, but he was very influential for us as kids, as a big brother.
And you're completely right. You can't tell what, just by looking at someone, you don't know how much love they got for Sikhi or how much they're practicing as well. You don't know that. Behind closed doors, people could be doing anything.
Yeah.
You just can't tell.
No, you definitely can't. And that's why I think me coming from that side, I'm probably a bit more hesitant now to judge someone or, you know, go in bollock someone. Sometimes to bring someone into your world, you need to step into their world first.
Yeah.
And then tell them, look, hey, I understand why you're doing what you're doing. Well, I understand why you feel in a certain way. And then put a different perspective on it. And I think people respect you more when you do that as well.
You know how, like, when you're hearing someone else's story, yeah, you can sit there and you can observe everything that's happened, and you see it's like how everything has happened for a reason, for it to lead to this point. You know, obviously, I know you probably don't like me stroking your ego and stuff, but it's like what you're doing now is you've gotten so many people into fighting. Every day you're inspiring me, and I know us guys, like, we're looking at these things, go up there, embracing that warrior spirit, like, you know, like laying that dog out. You can do it in the ring, you can do it in a controlled environment. Yeah, that's the place you can do it. Because like you said, we talk about some of the fighters, you know, the calmest people you see, they're in the ring, they lay it out, and you can do that. And that encourages me, because if we don't have that release, we're just going to be soft. Talk to us about your Sikhi journey and about how that went about.
I think, like, with people's Sikhi journey, Sikhi is very, very personal. We were all Monne back in the day. Many of the things that you see today that are actually active in a lot of these initiatives in martial arts, these boxing shows, there are a load of them were Monne, and we all got into Sikhi like 15, 20 years ago. So, but the story of getting into Sikhi, that for me, that's personal. When you have something precious and so dear to you, sometimes you don't want to reveal that to people. However, what I would say is, just as a banda, as men, like, before Sikhi, martial arts was everything, and you need to learn how to protect yourselves, protect your family. Then when you're taken Amrit and as a Singh, then it means 10 times more.
Yeah.
Because for me, as a Khalsa, if you take an Amrit, you know, from a Bata with a Khanda, double-edged sword, the whole Sansafai, Meedi Beedi aspect is compulsory and it's mandatory.
Wow, 100%.
I feel like that should be the standard. Like, it shouldn't be, we shouldn't accept anything less than that. Obviously, when people have love for Sikhi, that's a beautiful thing. They have love for the Guru. That's the main thing. That's number one. But you got to be doing these things as well. You have to train. You have to be at a certain level. Because how can you do anything? How can you protect yourself? How can you protect others? You need it.
Yeah. Guru Sahib could have turned a blind eye to everything the Mughals were doing. You know, a lot of madness was happening back in them days. But Maharaj created the Khalsa to uphold righteousness.
Yeah.
And to uphold righteousness, you need to learn how to defend yourself. And if you can't, how can you protect somebody else? So for me, it was like the Sikhi aspect just was like the stamp on martial arts. It was like, wow, you look at the amazing stories of our Shahid Singhs. You look at the amazing stories of our gurus, and you think to yourself, you know, we would have never progressed if the Khalsa didn't fight in all these wars.
100%.
You know? So, you know, martial arts for me, as a Sikh, if you're coming onto the path of taking Amrit and becoming the soldier of the Khalsa, you got to learn how to fight.
It's a must.
Yeah.
It's 100% a must. Obviously, Shastra Vidya is so important as well. It's a great way of connecting back to our roots, connecting with our gurus. But what's our fists is most likely what we're going to be using, our, you know, these techniques that we can do with our limbs. Any altercation, if you're going to defend yourself, defend your family.
Think about a saint soldier, Sant first, you know, Gurbani, Bhakti, Simran, Naam, etc. Like if you look at what the heroics, and you could say they're quite miraculous, the battles the Singhs were in, they couldn't have done that without Gurbani, right? Because where do you get that power from? Where do you get that strength from when you're completely outnumbered in war after war? So what was the fuel to win them wars? It was Bhakti, isn't it? So without that Bhakti, we wouldn't have won. We wouldn't have got to where we are. You know, people have tried to make us disappear over the years many times, but we're still here. But I kind of feel like it goes hand in hand.
I think sometimes people use what you said as an excuse to say we don't need to train, which is the wrong way to look at it. The Bhakti's there and we need it 100%. That gives us the power, but you got to put the effort in as well. And I think a lot of people are kind of missing that these days.
Yeah. Well, if you look at all of our Guru Sahibs, like the mission, like they all had the same mission, but they played different roles. So why did Guru Gobind Singh Ji say, right now we're turning, you know, jackals into lions, sparrows into hawks? Because he wanted soldiers, you know. So for me, arguably, you could say that the Sikhi side of it was to give us the strength to be able to battle and get through these wars as well. So, you know, it's very underrated. Like martial arts is like, I kind of feel like we're being crazily diluted. Some of the flower power stuff that goes around with Sikhi at the moment is crazy. And I think that we need to understand that 1699 and beyond, you know, the power and the state of and the mentality of how strong our Singhs were. So why would we come away from that and think that's no longer of use or no longer important? We don't know when the Guru's going to call upon us. And if he does, look at the state of us.
Takes me to our next question. Like, how do you think the world at the moment views Sikhs around the world? And like, how should we be remembered and known?
I'm just looking at UK, maybe Canada, America, Australia is the same, where these Sikhs are these really nice, law-abiding citizens, and they give everyone free food. That's how I think that people view Sikhs, you know. They're contained, if you know what I'm trying to say. So, which, like, don't get me wrong, it's an amazing blessing Maharaj given us to be able to give out free langar in the universe. It's a massive, massive blessing. But an even bigger blessing was how we got through these wars to be here as we are today. So, like, we shouldn't just be remembered for giving out free food and langar. We should also be remembered as warriors.
Yeah. Sick. What do you believe is the connection between martial arts and humility?
I think there's a massive connection, or that at least there should be a connection, because like when you train, like in my opinion, like you should train with people that are better than you in every way, because they can humble you. Like sometimes you could go into a gym, think, oh, I'm a little of a rude boy and I'm this and that.
That was me.
And then
10 years ago.
But you know, when you train and there's rules and there's certain things, like for example, you know, you might not be able to use knees or elbows, but you can use other stuff. Like losing and getting pegged down 2-3 steps is actually very good for your ego. And I think that number one, it motivates you to learn and do better. But number two, it actually helps you respect your opponents, all opponents. So like, you know, getting thrown around on a mat, whether you're doing jiu-jitsu or getting punched in the face, not having your guard up properly in boxing, this is all wicked for your ego. And I think that the connection between martial arts and humbleness, like, have you ever noticed, when you look at some of these pros, when they go in the ring, Sometimes I do an open prayer. Yeah. Sometimes the eyes are shut and they're meditating. What they're meditating to? Who to? What is it? Is it a God? Is it some sort of energy? Like, so if you think about this, when it comes to the time where someone's about to go in for combat, everyone initially, before going in, they're concentrating on some type of energy. And that's humble as well, because you're saying to this other energy, help me. I might not be strong enough during this fight. So
that's the humility. Yeah.
This is with even about thinking about it. You just look at the body language, what they're focusing on. Yeah, you have some fighters that are completely different too, but from a Sikh perspective as well,
Wow.
like
it's true, because you even have people who are in their own heads, like, I'm doing everything. Some people might not even believe in God, but then when they're at a point in the 5th, 6th round, and they be like, okay, they take a breath. At that point, they're realizing, okay, Chal, cool. Yeah. But I need to respect my breath at this point.
On post fights, how many times have you heard the first thing they say? I want to thank God.
Yeah,
thank God.
So many times.
So common. And like before someone goes in to a fight, they're doing a bit of a little ardas, aren't they, as well? So the connection between martial arts and humility is big, and as a Sikh, it's even bigger. So I think go to a gym. If you're interested in martial arts, go there. You will be humbled. Everyone gets humbled, but it's good for you.
The first thing that some people say to me when they're about to like start, they're like, but the thing is, like, I don't know anything. So like, I feel like everyone's gonna be like a lot better than me. I was like, yeah, of course I'm gonna be better than you. This is what it's all about, bro. As some guy was saying to me, he was like, I went to this gym and I just got my like ass handed to me, sort of thing. I'm like, all right, brilliant. I was like, that's so good. So happy for you. I was like, that's what should have happened.
But that's where your learning takes place. There's this mental obsession, I know, with boxing, where no one wants to lose their It's like, no one can be Mayweather, 49, 50, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's very rare.
It's just an obsession now. And like losing or having a setback, it's good for you. It's where you learn,
100%, man. 100%.
John Danaher, who's a renowned jiu-jitsu coach, he said that if you're the best person in your gym, if you're the best martial artist there, then you need to go to a new gym. Because what are you going to do? Like, you're just going to be beating everyone. Yeah. You need to be around people who are better than you. You need to be around people who are worse than you as well, so you can help them out. So you need to be surrounded by that.
That's bang on.
That's like even with like a financial, like business perspective as well, isn't it? Like,
it's everything, I think. Yeah. Everything.
Yeah.
Facts. Loki, you're naughty boy. You're naughty boy.
We're in the podcast.
No, go now. Yeah. Loki. Mom, can you close the door? Chal. Loki, who's that? Go inside. Who's that?
He's like, I'm the best person in the gym. What are you like talking about?
How did it come about getting some of these sponsors supporting the project?
So with the sponsor side of things, I think people think that you get sponsors chucking themselves at you. It's not the case. It's very, very difficult. It's one of the hardest things. Like if I take Derby as an example, our first show, we had all these ideas, this vision about what we wanted Derby to look like. And then it's like, you've got to fund this. You're spending thousands of pounds. If you want high presentation, you got to fund it. So you're speaking to sponsors and they don't know what to expect. They think, is this going to be like a ring in a center with some samosa, or is this going to really be a proper boxing show with high presentation, our brand out there? Why does it take thousands of pounds to fund? So from the sponsor side of it, what no one realizes, whether you're tired at night, whether you're busy and you're looking after the kids, the family, whatever, you got to dial and dial. If I have to dial 100 businesses, 200 businesses, the job's not done until it's done. So people don't see the graph. They don't see how hard this is. So they see these sponsors and think, hey, they're really well supported, but they don't see the side of picking up the phone and hammering that phone until you reach your target. And if you haven't reached your target, you ain't succeeding in what you need to do. So you got to keep trying. Another thing on the sponsor side is having, I would say, influential people in certain areas. So for example, if I look at East London, where we get amazing sponsors, Jagbaji from GC Boxing has been very influential, like absolutely incredible. We have the Bassi family there that have sponsored our last couple of shows in East London as well. Really? So you have to have a good network of people. If I look at the West Midlands side, I think East Midlands we're fine. West Midlands, Gr8 Singh from TCH, Shorefit. These are all amazing people. There's so many people to thank, and I'm sorry if I've not mentioned everyone, but I'm just mentioning some pivotal people in key areas. So the sponsor side of it, if you think about Derby, that Derby show was born out of these sponsors. They put GR8 on the map. They paid for the show. So there's massive respect, for all of our sponsors, and without them, we couldn't do this.
Who's your first sponsor? Do you remember?
Yeah, man. First sponsor was Cake Shop. I was gonna say Cake Box, and he'll kill me. It's Cake Shop. Bill Orlock. Yeah, from West Midlands, and he was our first sponsor. In fact, I could probably tell you, if I think about it, probably our first 10 sponsors, because that's how dear these guys were to me for our first show. It was actually, if you don't mind giving these guys shout outs, it was Cake Shop, and we had Mr. Singh's, Gr8 Singh, Amdeep Singh. We had High Gates, that's 3. Saving Punjab, 4. I would never let Saving Punjab be a sponsor again, because now we know what they do. We should be sponsoring them. We should be supporting them. But them guys were so incredible that, hey, look, they're trying to bring out literature, data, and wake up the bund. And even they wanted to support GR8, which was awesome. 5, Cause Clever Classroom. 6 was Blue Wave Security. 7, Apex Energy. 8 was V-Shack. 9 was Collection for Clothes. And who was number 10, the last sponsor? H and Jody's. And the reason I know that so clear in my head was because them companies made this happen.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So big respect to them.
That's such a beautiful thing. The community getting together, supporting each other. So sick. We can't wait. We're going to be there on the 13th of July.
Wicked.
Can't wait to be there. It's going to be our first one.
We've
seen all the videos, seen all the fights. I can't wait, man.
Wicked. Yeah, it'd be good to have you down.
We're gonna have a stall to be at, but I don't think I'm gonna be like chatting to people. I'm just gonna I'll be watching the fights.
We do get people coming and asking for stalls, and if there's space, we accommodate where we can, like with our sponsors. The people that come, you just end up watching the fights.
Yeah, that's good.
It's just the way it is.
Oh, so sick. You was talking about how, like, behind the scenes, how much work goes on, speaking to these people, getting the sponsors, all the other work that comes with it. To anyone doing Seva, like, what do you think is the hardest thing, and what's your advice to them?
I think Seva, it's not necessary, because Seva is a blessing, right? And I wouldn't necessarily say, hey, like, what's the hardest thing about Seva, because we should embrace Seva.
Yeah.
It's not really what's hard, but I think what are the effects of Seva? And I think the effects of Seva are either you become more humble or you get more ego.
Yeah.
So I kind of think that
that's it.
With whatever Seva you do, whatever you're going through in your life, whether it's good or bad, just come back down to Ardas and try and stay humble, because as I say, Seva is a blessing. Maharaj gives it us, and you can take it away in a second.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of different types of people that do Seva. People that don't even have the roop are doing great Seva. What's your message to people? Because I know a lot of people in our community can be judgmental. Oh, he's doing Seva, he's not even going to scarce, and they all look down. Even if someone who looks like a Singh does less Seva, but the ones that do the Seva, I know it's not all about getting noticed, but they're not going to get the respect. Just naturally, you're just not going to sort of respect the Munna over the Singh.
Yeah.
But what's your message to people? Being on both sides, having been on both sides.
Yeah, being on both sides, again, I mentioned earlier that if you look at some of the most prominent projects happening in the Bund today, were from people that were Monne first. If you look at all of our GR8 circle, all of us were Monne. And there's so many other shows that are happening where they've come from that background. So we can't make that mistake of looking at someone and judging them and also belittling them, because in 10, 15 years, they might be doing the Seva we're doing today. Yeah. So if 10, 15, 20 years ago when I took Amrit, no one probably would have imagined we'll be sitting here today talking about Sikhi.
Yeah.
So how can you underestimate, judge, or write someone off when you're not in control? He is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like, I do see it a lot of times where sadly it's like, hey, look, it doesn't look quite good. All these things here that Munna's there, get him out the shot, get him out the picture. I've seen a lot of that. It's so bang out of order. It's really wrong. You know, there were Munne that became Shaheed as well.
Exactly.
For the Guru. So I think we have got this really crazy, narrow-minded attitude where unless you look the part, you know, no one really respects you. But it's not about looking the part, it's about being the part.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about talking, it's about doing. And I think that we should be leaving that type of mark on anyone that's not into Sikhi after spoken to us, whether it's for a short time or a long time. It should be like, actually, I want to be part of this. Not the other way around where you judge someone, you belittle someone and make someone think, actually, I want to go further away.
I was speaking to someone the other day. They actually said that they think like the roop should be the last thing. Like it should all be internal first, and then obviously do it however you want. But I liked what they said. I thought, you know what, you got a point. Like you might look a certain way, but inside, how are you thinking? How are you acting? How are you judging?
Yeah,
it's really important.
Yeah, I think that I do hear that concept as well, but I also think what you are inside reflects on the outside, regardless of how you look. So if you're born into Sikhi and you've already got Gis and you've already got Dastard, you've got that roop.
That's true. But
it depends, like the quality of that roop that you're representing comes from internal, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same if you're a Munna. That if for example, you know, you're trying to get on the path and you're struggling with Gis, or you're struggling, you know, with stop eating mass or whatever you might be struggling with, that shows on the outside too. So I think ultimately, whatever you are on the inside, eventually it will come out and reflect on the outside, you know, unless you're great at hiding it. And unfortunately, you know, we do have in this time and age where we've got a lot of Khalsa in Bana that are not doing Khalsa things. So, you know, it's a tricky one.
So obviously you're talking how you've taken a lot of inspiration from, you know, our gurus and Maharaj, everything. What like fighters have been your inspiration? Just, you know, because obviously you're a boxing fan, martial arts fan.
From a boxing point of view, like we were just massive Mike Tyson fans.
Yeah.
Like massive Mike Tyson fans. When Tyson was fighting, no matter how late, no matter how young we were as kids, to make sure we were awake to watch the fights.
Yeah.
You know, so it was
the GOAT.
It was that, you know, for me it was all about Tyson.
Yeah.
Like if you look at a technique point of view, Roy Jones Jr., Mayweather, like from a proper boxing technique point of view. But when it came to like that pure breed fighter, it's Mike Tyson. From like martial artists, obviously Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Jet Li. We were just obsessed with their movies.
Did you watch Van Damme movies as well? Kickboxer, Bloodsport?
We watched all the Bloodsport movies. Van Damme were wicked movies as well. But he was like on the other tier, and we had the Jinne at the top first. Van Damme was like, he was afterwards, sort of thing, you know. But Van Damme was wicked as well. But we always felt like his kicks were more like for show. You know, he did belly dancing. Van Damme. Do you know that? He did all that gymnasium stuff as well. That's why his
crazy flexibility.
What is that? We should incorporate that into our training, maybe.
I mean, gymnastics very, very important, like for balance, strength, everything. And with Van Damme, I always thought his kicks were more like he wanted to do that perfect poise, you know, that pose for the camera. His kicks always felt like fake, if that even sounds real.
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
With Bruce Lee, it was just, that was brilliant, you know. And even like the films back then, you know, I'm not advising anyone to watch these films, by the way. And I'm exposing my my misspent youth here. But you know, there's a film called Blood In, Blood Out.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. I love that.
Have you?
Well, I used to love that.
Yeah. So we, in 6-week holidays back in the day, we'd watch that every day, sometimes twice a day. You know, Scarface, all of them stupid, crazy films. But you know what Blood In, Blood Out? There was a lot of messages in that film about learning how to be streetwise. And I think sometimes as Singhs, we're not streetwise. We can be quite gullible. and we can allow a lot of madness to be happening under our nose in our community. And I remember when I was a kid watching Blood In, Blood Out and learning about people divide and conquer. You know, so many things that you learn about some of these street movies. I know they're not the greatest of influences, but you can pick up bits from there as well. So yeah, Blood In, Blood Out. If you haven't watched it, go watch it.
So is that your favorite movie?
Oh man,
That's different.
that's a hard one. Like, you got all the Bruce Lee movies, and then after that, you know, unfortunately for us, it was all the violent movies. So you had your Scarface, Blood In, Blood Out, you had Goodfellas, Casino, you had all of them sort of films which weren't the best of influence, but I don't regret my
Yeah,
I don't regret growing
It's
up like that.
entertainment as well, isn't it?
Yeah, you know. Ong Bak was brilliant.
Ong
Yeah.
Bak.
That was good.
It's underrated, man.
That is very, very
People don't know
underrated.
about it.
I'm back's the one.
Yeah.
Carl, I've actually never seen the movie. Yeah. I've seen the highlights. No, but I've seen the highlights. I've seen the fight scenes.
I dropped the kids off for school the other day actually, and we was there a few minutes early, and we was watching clips of Enter the Dragon on the phone.
Oh yeah.
You know, so you know, I think sometimes we can wrap up our kids in cotton wool and be crazy overprotective as well, and sometimes that can do more harm than good as well. So I'm not saying everyone stick on a movie of Bruce Lee. We don't need to now. We've got Jar Sabjadi movie with Banda Singh Bahadur. We've got so many other things that we can show them now. But growing up and watching movies around martial arts, I personally, I think it's good for you.
It's literally the same thing happened with me. I didn't have any like older brothers or anything that got me into martial arts. I was watching Bruce Lee, Van Damme, Kickboxer, Bloodsport, all these movies just hyped me up. I was like, I want to be like that. These guys are crazy.
Yeah.
And the physiques as well. The physiques are insane.
Yeah.
It's like, we can be like that too.
Was it you mentioning it earlier? I don't know if we're on camera or off camera about physiques of things now and being out of shape and
It's
you know,
me, yeah.
like our diet. You know, we've got to look after our diet as well, because you know, I think being a responsible car site isn't just the whole nip the name and training side of things. It's about, you know, healthy body, healthy mind. You know, that I personally think certain foods can ruin your spirituality as well. So I think from a diet point of view, we have to get a bit more stricter. So I think there's a whole point of this whole Salbloy, Babek, that there's this massive point in this, man. Like Maharaj knows everything. Do you know what I mean? So I think like even as sayings, we take food of each other. There's nothing wrong with doing an internal quick ardas. You don't know what someone done the night before, innit? I'm just being straight in it.
No, it's true. People hide things nowadays as well, man. So.
Yeah, and like, I've been in Sing 20 years, and because we came from a streetwise type of environment, you know, there's some madness happening in this community, which is again under everyone's noses. And
I honestly, when we think about these things, I can't think of any better solution than the work, you know, yourselves are doing. Maharaj Kirpa, what Gr8 Fighters is trying to do, you know, just trying to get more people to embrace martial arts. And earlier you were saying about, you know, your coaches give you guidance as well on life. If you got the right gym, the right coach, you know, I know a lot of the coaches, a lot of the gyms associated with Gr8 Fighters. I can just tell. I've spoken to some of them as well. Just amazing coaches. And our coach, obviously, he's like a father figure to all of us. And we learn so much outside of training, outside of martial arts, and that is the cure. That is the cure. What you're doing is the cure to change everyone from, you know, just doing the bana without the bani, trying to look the part, trying to act like a gangster, trying to act like a, you know, warrior soldier, but not living it. When you was thinking of launching Gr8, you obviously must have got a lot of feedback. What was the feedback when you think about launching Gr8?
when we're thinking of launching it, 90 to 95% of it was doubts from people. Don't do it. People like there's gonna be a riot, there's gonna be fights. You putting Punjabis in the same room, combat sports. It's like, Hari, what are you playing at? What are you thinking?
Wow.
It was that obviously we had words of encouragement as well from certain gyms and people around me, but the vast majority of it was don't do it. And it wasn't just because of what it could create in terms of like tensions and stuff, but they were like, you ain't got no fighters. You ain't gonna get no kids coming forward to fight. So there was a lot of people at the start were like, don't do it.
Did that doubt affect you at any point? Did it make you think, like, oh, maybe I should allow this?
No way. Like, do you know, doubt for me is the biggest killer of hopes and dreams, probably more than actually failing. Because if you failed and did something, at least you learned. And you can dissect it and look at where were my mistakes, what can I do better. But you know, the problem with this doubt thing is you stay in a rut, you stay in the same place, you're not coming or going, you're not doing anything. So I'd rather just jump in the deep end with a plan and a vision and execute on it than not do it at all.
Losing before you even started.
Yeah,
innit?
100%.
Sick,
Yeah.
man. Sick. So obviously you've got no alcohol in this Punjabi event. I know obviously there's a lot of Punjabis that come to the event, a lot of people that probably do drink. Did you get were there issues with that?
No issues, because that was very important to me, that if we're going to do these shows, zero tolerance on alcohol, drugs and stuff like that. So like naturally what we were trying to do was change the whole the outlook on events going forward, because when you think about Punjabis getting together, whereas a wedding and, you know, the old school days in the halls, what actually still happens now, it was all alcohol focused, families getting together, you know, getting mashed and stuff like that. Whereas for me, it was like, if we have these events, if we have a turnout, it will create its own energy. This is boxing. You know, there's families passionate and friends passionate about watching someone take part. So for me, it was like, we don't need that type of, we don't need alcohol to create an atmosphere, basically.
Exactly.
Do you know?
Yeah.
And there was some people even saying at the start, you know, believe it or not, some sayings like, oh,
So the things.
you might just have a bar on the side for people that want to do it, let them do it. It's like, no chance, zero chance. I know this is boxing.
Yeah.
I know, like, we're building a brand, but I'm not compromising on them values. No way. And alcohol, look at the effect that it's done to our community. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of demons in our community. Alcohol is one of the biggest ones. I'm sure we've all got personal stories about our own families, people with alcohol. So for me, seeing that personally from a family perspective and seeing the effect it's had on our community as well, there's absolutely no chance I would entertain alcohol at my show. Never.
How do you think fighting would prevent, you know, alcoholism in families? So
I think that naturally, if you're into a combat sport, your health improves. You become more health conscious. When you become more health conscious, you think about what you're putting in your body, whether it's food, whether it's drink, etc. So like for us, it is different. Like different times, everyone's been brought up differently. Back in them days, my dad used to say, like, if you drink, I break your legs. I'm just being honest, straight. If I ever see you smoke, drink, or anything like that, even though we went into Sikhi, Dad was like, that's what I'll do. And it was like, you know, when he says, you got to listen. So we didn't actually do any of that. But I think what reinforced us not doing that was actually doing the martial arts, doing the training. That really reinforced it, because we didn't want to do that. We weren't attracted to it. And when you're in a circle that was doing it, there was nothing that could penetrate you, you know, to make you weaker and do that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's never been an interest ever, even before Sikhi, not at all.
And any other obstacles you've come across whilst Gr8's been growing?
I wouldn't really say like obstacles, to be honest with you, because a lot of it's mindset. Something could just be something you have to maneuver around, and we can call that an obstacle. So just because something's hard, or you're busy, or you have to create more time or stay up late to do something, I don't really look at these things as obstacles. I look at them as things that I just need to get done. So an obstacle could be something like, you know, you've had a venue cancel on you 2 days out before a show, or you've had the council reject your paperwork, you know, right? It's something like that. They're more obstacles to me. So to be honest, I can't really say we've had any obstacles as well.
Are there any individuals in the community that you're impressed by in terms of what they're doing with martial arts? So
outside of the whole boxing stuff that you've seen, all the clubs doing shows and us lot doing shows, I would say Hari Singh, Elusive Fighter. I think his Instagram page is called Elusive Fighter. I like what he does, and the reason I think it's very important what he does is because if you look at what we're doing, this is grassroots, bare level, like level 1, and you got gloves on, you got a referee. It's a controlled environment. But what he does are things where prepare you for streets, weapons, you know, all types of different weapons as well. So like as sayings, you know, when we talk about the Khalsa, we talk about what Maharaj had been through in the past. Someday, a lot of this stuff we might come into question about. We might have to do something.
Yeah.
We might have to protect someone. And on the street, there's no referee. And on the street, they're not going to say, hey, let me put my boxing gloves on. In the street, they might just pull out a knife or a stick. And I think that from what Hari Singh does, I like the fact that he's teaching to defend against them types of things.
We should have, he gave us a Magdal. You know, Magdal is the
Yeah.
best of things. So we went to Sikh open mats. They had one in Slough. It was the first one in Slough?
That's the first one.
First one in Slough. And at the end of it, and he said, guys, this by Gr8 Fighters. He didn't mention that it was him, but he was showing us how to use it and everything. He said, it's a Gr8 Fighters giving everyone one each, basically. Massive Magdals.
So there's so many of us as well.
Yeah,
one each.
loads, and they're expensive, they're not cheap. And I've used it till today, like in all like fight prep and stuff as well. Sick. So fair play to Lucifer. Wicked. His stuff's important. His stuff's important.
Yeah, he's because that's on the real life street now. It ain't necessarily the boxing stuff that's gonna help. It's that stuff. You know, like because like in a war where there's no rules, that's what
You have to know that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that was a grey area for myself.
Yeah.
When you did your first show, it's obviously something new to you, starting up a show. You probably hadn't done a show before that, have you? In any sort of capacity.
No.
So who helped you with that setting up?
Do you know what? I'd like to give a shout out to Raj from Fight Star Championship.
Wicked guy.
Because when I was looking at, okay, I've got this vision, I've got this concept, I've got this idea, this plan on paper. Now, how do I put it into practice? You know, where do I get certain things from and how does it work and blah, blah, blah. And I rang around a few people, and when they knew what I was trying to do, they weren't very forthcoming. Or
Jealousy.
it was a little bit like, oh, what area are you doing this? Or almost like you're going to step on my toes sort of thing. So I got them vibes in it. And when I spoke to him though, he just gave me a blueprint. Now, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to do it. These are the contacts. If you can't get X, Y, and Z, you can get it off me. He was brilliant. So I've got to say, from a advisory point of view of someone who was setting up a show logistically for the first time, Fight Star was amazing. And you've all been to his shows, right?
We love it. It's
Wicked
different level.
Yeah, next level shows. And you know, that's if Gr8 could get to that level, I'd be very happy.
That's good. And I think Gr8 will be pivotal in, because I know he's got a lot of, you know, fighters from different backgrounds. We're yet to have like a Sikh up on our champion there, but we're having a lot of Sikh fighters joining there now as well. We've got one of our guys, Roman, from Peace fighting on that card. I know you had Winder Singh. He's fighting.
He's amazing.
He's fighting there as well.
That's good. Because like you're right, Raj has elevated a lot of Musliman, a lot of Gr8, etc. And he's doing a great job. And these communities, they love him. They absolutely love him. Yeah, us lot as Punjabis, we've got a Punjabi guy that's doing really well. And we need to utilize him as well. So Raj has been a really great help. Respect.
Amazing.
Big.
Okay. Shout out to Raj.
Yeah.
Who were your first guest boxers that you had?
So our first guest, our confirmed guest that we got for Derby show were Serena Kaur and Jaya Kaur Khalsi, two young girls, Sikh girls. So these girls are absolutely incredible, like brilliant boxers. You've probably seen them online. They're winning everything. National champions, going to European championships. They're absolutely incredible, really good families, like grounded as well. And, you know, these like, when I spoke to Serena's parents, as she was our first confirmed guest, I was like, no one knows about you. How do we not know there's a Punjabi girl that's been multiple time national champion and we don't even know about it? Do you know what I mean? So it was great getting them involved because one, they were Bibiyan, and number two, they were so young. So I looked at it as a way that actually these guys could really inspire a lot of the kids moving forward. So they were my first two confirmed guests. And then the other two were Indabasi and Dylan Chima. So if you look at Dylan, he kind of brought back that whole Sky Sports boxing. You know, like all the Punjabis going around on TV watching. It was like a prize fighter thing he had, which he won. So it created a really good buzz around the Punjabi community, and it was amazing with India because of Gr8 Sek as well.
Yeah.
And you know, like one thing I'd say about Inda Bassi and Dylan Chima is that whether it was football, whether it was boxing, when you needed these guys to come to a show and show their support as role models in the community, they would do it. Proper, genuine people.
Yeah.
Like really, and like these guys support everyone's events, so everybody should be supporting these guys. So we had Gully, I think, who was about to make his debut around the same time as GR8-ish, like around that sort of period. So beyond our second event, Gully's been a guest speaker at every event as well. So these guys are incredible, like, you know, not just role models to the kids that are getting in there and fighting, but these guys are showing, look, we belong in that ring and we belong against this competition. So big respect to everyone that came to our first show, helped kick this off, and continue to support us throughout all of our shows.
Wow, brilliant. I remember Gully said something amazing in one of your events where he was talking about where his power comes from Shahid Singh's.
Yeah.
And that's just brilliant. And you can see it when he's in the ring as well, innit? Just that aggression, that confidence.
Yeah.
Love it.
But that comes back to what you were saying before about judging everyone, whether they're Singh or not a Singh. If you look at the appearance of Gully, you would judge him. But if you look at where do you get your inspiration from? Where do you get that fire from?
Yeah.
You know, it's his bloodline.
Yeah.
So we all got different journeys, and Maharaj will bless us all at different times. But I've got maximum respect to any Punjabi that will jump in a ring, Singh or non-Singh, and we should all be supporting them.
Pakka 100%. Wicked. So there was a recent shout out from John Cordesi encouraging the youth to support grassroots initiatives. How do you feel about that? Must have made you happy.
No, it was good because like Jaden, she came to our second show and beyond. Her brother fought on the show as well. So she's been a good ambassador of GR8 as well. So whether it's Jaden, who's now obviously, I think she's the first Sikh female Punjabi boxer in the UK. She won a fight by knockout.
Yeah,
so that should be a big inspiration to other females in the community. But whether it's Jaden, whether it's Gully, whether it's Inda, Balraj, like other people we've had that have supported us, it means a lot to us because we know these guys are not just there for any exposure, because they've got exposure. They don't need more exposure. They're there to support the community. They're there to support the project because they feel passionate about it. And because we're a minority in this, and you know, we're making this effort to put these shows on, support from these pros is invaluable.
Yeah. Thanks. How do you balance this life of doing this server with GR8, you know, all these massive shows, with a full-time job and 4 kids?
It's tough. It's very tough. Like, you know, there's times, you know, I'm working sometimes 10, 12 hours a day. Come home and then we have to sort the kids out, get up to bed, and my kids are a bit crazy, so they probably go to bed really late compared to other people's kids, and that time then is actually work time. That's when the laptop opens on the GR8 side. So there's times when you're tired, you are knackered, absolutely exhausted, but you got to get the job done. So if you believe in something and you've got a vision, doesn't matter how tired you are, how lazy you feel, it's like just shut up, get up and get it done. And also my wife's very supportive. If I was just sat lounging doing nothing for them hours, then it's different. But she sees what I'm trying to build, and she sees that actually he's trying to make a difference to the youth. So I think having a supporting partner really helps as well.
Sick. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So you've been doing GR8 for a while now. How long's it been?
Well, we broke the news about GR8 around 3 years.
3 years ago, yeah.
So shows we've been doing for 2.5 years.
Yeah, sick. But you've not really done many. You know, I've seen people on your shows talk, but we never really heard from yourself, like out there. I think the last one probably was the one we did with you, and that reel we put out.
On our show, yeah.
But yeah, like in terms of like a podcast, you know, the work you're doing is great, and we're so grateful to have you on, especially our first sort of interview style podcast. How come you decided now?
It's a good question, and the honest answer is you got to sometimes slowly build something in the background. I kind of feel like confidence is quiet and insecurity is loud. And I think that if we came just blasting everything out, videos, this, that, and the other at the start, before we'd even done a show, before we were anything, even after a good successful show like Derby was, I kind of think that you need to do more. You need to build more. You need to learn more. You need to make a lot of mistakes. So many mistakes we've made. So many things that we can improve on and get better at. So I kind of feel now is the right time because we've had a few events behind us. There's a good vision that we've got. And I felt like Sikh Warrior Project was the right platform. The reason why I think this is the right platform is because you're talking about martial arts. And you're talking about warriors. And we're talking about, I know there's other topics you bring up on this podcast as well, but as a Sikh, as a Punjabi and martial arts, it's the right mix. So big up to you guys. Well done. And I felt this was the appropriate platform to come on. As you know, we're going to be doing our own podcast on Gr8. We're going to start interviewing people as well. Be good to get you guys on as well. But I think so. From a podcast point of view, this is probably the right time and with the right people.
Okay, now we appreciate that a lot. How much would you score Gr8 out of 10 and why?
I would score Gr8, honestly, score Gr8 a 3 or a 4 out of 10.
Right.
Why is that? Why? It's like to us, we would score it much higher, but obviously you're the way you think is different to us. So explain why.
You gotta think it depends what you're benchmarking Gr8 against. So if I look at that 10, right? The 10 is something amazing, fantastic. If you look at 9, it's very good. If you look at 8, it's good. If you look at 7, it's like, okay, yeah, it's decent, and it goes beyond and beyond. And it's not just about the fights. It's about logistically how a show runs, the organization, making everything flow. Is it seamless? There's so many things involved in doing a show. And, I'm quite picky and critical of myself. So for me, I would say Gr8 is around a 3 or a 4. And I know you got surprised faces at the moment, but for me, it's good to have that mentality because it will motivate me more to improve. And there's more room for improvement. There's a bigger upside. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if I come here and say, hey, look, from a Punjabi show perspective, Gr8's a 8, 9 or a 10, some people say it is, then I think it's complacent and it's naivety. And you just get stuck at the same level. So I think we need to be self-critical and look at ways on how to improve ourselves. So for me, there's a long way to go. We're right at the bottom.
So the next show, which we're very excited for, July the 13th. Talk to us about July the 13th.
So July 13th is Straight Out Punjab 6.
Yeah.
It's in Wolverhampton at the Khalsa Academy. So we have a relationship with the schools, Artham Academy, East London, and Khalsa Academy in Wolverhampton. After show 2, when we were looking for a venue for show 3, it was actually recommended by GC Boxing, hey, look, come and meet everyone at Artham, and we think it would be amazing to do a show there. After that show, and after our 4th show, which was in Wolverhampton, the school had approached us and said, look, we'd love for you guys to do your shows at our schools, and it's working and there's no need to change it. So at the moment, everything's great. Show number 6 will be at Khalsa Academy, and I'm really looking forward to this one because each show you see each fighter improving. They're getting older, more skillful, and there's new faces. I love seeing new faces. We've got a lot of new faces for this show with Gr8 as well in Wolverhampton. So really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, so everyone I managed to speak to after each show, they're like, "Oh, this was the best one. It's the best one." I know Sunny Singh from Wolverhampton Castle Boxing Club. He told me that I don't know if he'll be happy for me to say this, but he told me that he shed a tear because of how proud he was of his boys. Yeah, and for him personally, he felt like that was like the best show. So it just keeps getting better.
No, and it's good, and I'm really grateful to hear that type of feedback from whether it's Sonny or any other coach. But like for me, you got to hear it, but you can't chase applause, man. You got to chase your vision.
Yep.
And so for me, it's like hear it, pat them back, but again, just focus on what needs to be done. You're a long way off what needs to be done, and make sure you got that drive to get it done. So we'll get better. We'll get much better.
It's true what you're saying. Sometimes just quick pat on the back and just get going.
Yeah.
Sit there just admiring That's how I do. Look in the mirror and just admire myself. That's I'm not getting anywhere. Define a modern day Sikh warrior. We discussed this yesterday. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's a strange question as well, because like a modern day Sikh warrior, I can define a Sikh warrior.
Yeah.
But the modern day Sikh warrior, like to me, there shouldn't be a Paratum Sikh warrior, a difference between a Paratum Sikh warrior and a modern day Sikh warrior. Sikh warrior is a Sikh warrior. But I know what you're saying, because what you're saying is, what is a Sikh warrior in today's world, a modern world, compared to the old school? We all obviously know from the old school times, Hari Singhs and some amazing things that we had. Like modern.
Yeah, I think yesterday you switched it on me. You're like,
switch it on you. That's probably why I can't answer.
Yeah, you can switch on me again now if you want.
Connor, you tell me what do you think is a modern Sikh warrior?
You know what? It's really made me think, this one, but there shouldn't be no difference. There is no difference. It's like, what would someone do back in the day? You know, the first thing they wake up, sing, they would do the Amrit Vela, they'll do their Nityanam, and they'll ask Maharaj to take them through the day for the support throughout the day. You know, to live by Hukam. That's what we should do today. Every seva that we are doing, the seva might be a little bit different now, but we're obviously going to do the same thing in the morning, same thing in the evening before we finish off our day as well. And, you know, if something were to happen, there's some things have to, you know, get down to business. Even now, we've seen modern day, you know, won't go too much into detail, but people have done some proper seva, you know, where they've had to do life sentences in prison. And it doesn't matter whether it's 200 years ago, whether it's now, you know, different circumstances, but they'll do the same thing. They'll give up the same stuff, like in 1984. So really and truly, the lifestyle's the same. The world around you is changing.
That's it.
But the lifestyle is the same. And you made me think about this question.
I think that is it. It's what are the challenges now to become a warrior compared to back then. And like right now, we're quite domesticated. Do you know? And it's like that point I mentioned earlier, that it's amazing bakshish from Maharaj that we're known for seva and giving out food, but we should be known for other things. And martial arts, combat, war, you know, our existence, like why we're still here, that wasn't because we gave out food, it was because we fought in battles, outnumbered. So we need to put the same emphasis, energy and focus on creating warriors.
Yeah, I think Shastra Vidya, like I said before, is so important. Yeah, obviously now, so Shastra Vidya is still important because it's a way to connect to Maharaj. Powerful thing. I know when we did the archery vlog, we learned how, you know, doing archery, you're connecting with your roots. So I think in terms of practical side of things, learning hand-to-hand combat and martial arts is a lot more practical in this day and age. You know, some people might disagree with me, but so in a modern day, the only thing that would probably be different, but then again, things were wrestling back then. Yeah, you know,
those same things from back then, if you bring them into now, they would all be doing jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing, or they do all of these things. Yeah. The reason why I think hand-to-hand combat is very important is because you can't always escalate something to pulling a weapon out. Sometimes you need to subdue someone. They might not have a weapon. You can't just pull your knife out, and just because you're physically weak, you have to pull your knife out. You need to be physically strong. You need to be able to hold someone. You need to be able to contain someone. You know, you might have to break someone's arm or something just to contain them. And you can do these things using these hand-to-hand combat techniques. You don't have to pull a weapon out every time. That should be a last resort. Obviously, in war, that's different. That's then all guns blazing. But in the day-to-day street of a normal person, and if someone doesn't have a weapon, you do need the hand-to-hand.
I think it was yourself who I think was on one of your podcasts that mentioned if someone punched your mum or your sister. I can't remember. It was one of you guys. And I know a lot of people find that funny. Yeah. But like, if you actually think about it, in reality, if something like that ever happened and you're on the street and you had to protect your wife, your kids, your family, your mother, whatever, and you couldn't fight, what would you do?
It's embarrassing. I don't even think about it.
It stresses me out thinking like how do you feel confident in life without knowing anything? You've got to train and gain that confidence slowly.
But Maharaj didn't create these Sikh soldiers just for us. It was actually to protect everyone as well. So, you know, it comes back to that point where, you know, we need to be really drilling in the soldier aspect of Sikhi as well. We should be really drilling that in. And, you know, we do ardas every day. We look at, you know, we give praise to Shaheed Singhs every day and what they went through. And whether it was picking up a shastar, whether it was any type of weaponry, whatever it was, eventually Singhs had to become trained in certain things. It wasn't just natural where I'm doing a bhakti and now all of a sudden I'm an expert in archery, or I'm an expert in picking up a, you know, banduk or something. They had to train. So like for me, it's just plain and simple, black and white. If you want to be a Khalsa, you want to be a saint soldier, obviously you do the saintly stuff, but you've got to do the soldier stuff as well.
Yeah.
Love that.
What's your advice to people who are thinking of new initiatives, but they don't quite have the confidence to execute them?
I think that by overcoming your fears and certain obstacles, you create confidence. So you might have heard of a phrase where it's like, don't be afraid of the storm, go and dance in the rain. And that's basically saying that get stuck in. You got an idea, you got a vision, make a plan, you know, and try and execute your plan. If your plan's not working, change it. So whether it's a business around combat sport, whether it's a business around software, whatever your business is, whatever your ideas are, whatever you want to do, don't let doubt stop you. Try it, you know, because your biggest regret won't be trying and failing. Your biggest regret will be actually not doing it in the first place. So anyone that's got an initiative that's on your mind and you want to go out there and do it, do it.
Wicked. Good advice. I think that's something that held me back a little bit in the past as well. Just thinking about it and just get stuck in.
Overthinking, yeah.
Yeah, you just stay in the same place.
Yeah.
Like you think, and then 2, 3, 4, 5 months are gone and you've not progressed.
It's literally like watching a football match. You know, you're meant to sort of go on and play, but you're just standing on the sideline just thinking, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Just get on
I think that's what Man United, they go through that.
Yeah.
What am I going to do next? You know what I mean? So, yeah,
Liverpool fan, by the way.
Liverpool fan. You know, we don't really have that problem. But
thanks, Hari Singh, scared away our United fans. We're trying to be inclusive.
But as United fan, I do understand that.
Hilarious.
I was going to say Tottenham, but they just won something.
Exactly. Yeah.
These boys support Tottenham.
So you won some silverware. Who are you?
Both of these two.
Okay, so you guys won. What did you win?
Europa League.
What's that? Europa League. Okay.
You guys too smart, man.
So
quick.
So they got some silverware aside the kitchen and fork.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Finally, yeah. Something,
Yeah. But no. Tottenham. Okay, yeah. We'll give.
That's the best.
Oh, for
I did you a favour, man.
There was a final with Tottenham and Man U. The final.
Yeah. You act like you didn't know this.
No, I didn't actually know this. So there's a final between Tottenham and Man U.
Yeah.
And was it Europa?
Europa. You know exactly what it is. What he's saying, man.
No. I'm just joking. Yeah. You get what I'm saying. You know, if someone, you can either. It's actually a good analogy. You brought, like, say football as an example, right? There's a saying as well that, you know, you can either be a spectator when you're watching a match, or you can go on the pitch and score. Like, you know, you can score a goal. And that's a good analogy, because if you have got ideas in your head, do you want to be your own spectator and just sit back and see what everyone else is doing? Or do you actually want to go there and do something and score? So yeah,
Thanks.
funny we've come round.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
If you were to have an exhibition match with someone,
I would have exhibition.
yeah. You're very surprised that you didn't see this on the list. Anyone in the bunt.
The bunt. Oh God. Right, this is gonna create controversy now.
At Gr8 main event, who's gonna be?
Oh man, do you know what? To not create any controversy, I'll answer it. I'll probably fight the referee. That's not the answer he's looking for, but I'm not gonna give you anything else on that one.
Yeah.
But no, to be honest with you, there's no one that comes to mind. You know, I'm just more focused on getting these guys in the gyms and the shows, like me. So I'm too old now.
You're a nice guy.
If you ever want to do like a super fight or anything, yeah, I'm happy to come in there and just fight someone massive. Just something interesting.
we're gonna need a special show for that, aren't we? If we're gonna get Harid on, we're gonna need a proper star to get in.
No.
You can tell he's really learned the martial arts connection with humility.
I was gonna say
He
that.
embraced it a lot.
He needs to get a new gym. He needs to get a new gym. Yeah.
No, like, honestly, like at the moment, no, like I told you yesterday, I want to get a bit more set in life before I start putting energy in different places. And I think eventually I do want to come on Gr8 and do a boxing match.
Yeah, that would be wicked.
Yeah, soon. I think it definitely it's somewhat. But I said that a few months
Changes his
ago.
mind every
But I
two
changed that mind. I was so close to competing with you in the next month. But it's just as long as I'm set in other areas and I can give it all my attention, then I'm happy to do it.
That'd be good to have you on.
Mars good, baby. So, you know, you already got so many sick big names. I'll be nothing. You put me in the like prelims, yeah.
No, we'll get you on main. We'll get you on code. Man.
So what's your vision with Gr8? Where do you see Gr8 in the next 10 years? And then consequently, where do you see up on 10 years?
I think with Gr8, where do I see it in 10 years is the first thing that comes to my head is progress.
Yeah.
And I can't really define what that means or what it looks like.
Yeah.
But whether it's bigger venues, more interests, more elite fighters, you know, a multitude of things, maybe doing something with other communities. I think there's loads of things that we can potentially do with Gr8 in the future. Right now, it's step by step. Where do I see the bond? I think that was the question in 20 years as well.
Yeah, with what you're doing, basically.
I think if we continue and everyone else continues with these types of initiatives, with the young children we're getting in at grassroots, which was the whole point of this project, we're going to see so many Sikh fighters. Like already you've seen the wave of them. There's so many coming in all sports as well. So as long as we keep the momentum and this focus on the kids and the youth, we've got a bright future ahead.
Oh, that's good, bro. That's the main thing, innit? Focusing on the kids.
Yeah, man.
As Gr8 keeps growing, do you see yourself bringing other people into it to help you out?
Yeah, I think with Gr8, it can be as big as the support it gets. So, you know, if it meant in a couple of years I had to step aside to get a new CEO or somebody else to drive it forward, as long as the kids are making progress, I'm happy to work with anyone and let this evolve into where it needs to be in order to progress. So, you know, like 5, 10, 15 years, you never know if this brand's still around and we're still making the progress that we are. We could hand this over to someone much younger, some of the youth that are coming up as well. So, you know, I'm not protective about this. You know, I know everyone says Hari Singh this, Hari Singh that, but this is like our project. Gr8, it's not just, it's not for me, it's for everyone. And I kind of look at this project as a project for the Bant, project for our community, whether you're a Singh or not a Singh. This is a Punjabi project, man. So from my side, if I had to ever step aside or go into a different role in order for this to grow, I'm 100% down for that.
Wicked, man, wicked. As I say, you have your motivation, and we know your motivation is clear.
Yeah.
And that's the kids.
Absolutely.
Just our fun to get better.
And like a lot of people, and again, I don't want to rub anyone here the wrong way, but a lot of people have said to me that, hey, turn Gr8 into a charity and get the money, get the sponsors, they'll come easier and all that. We're trying to build a brand. We're trying to build a martial arts brand. Do you know what I mean? And I think that when people say that to me just to get a money grab, it motivates me even more to make an extra 200-300 phone calls to get sponsors, because I want to do it the hard way. You know, I don't believe we should be saying things like, hey, become a charity and then you'll get more funding. Forget that. You know, that's not what I'm about, and it's not what I want Gr8 to be about.
As Sikhs, what's our most important tool that we have?
The most important tool that we have as Sikh, from my perspective, is Ardas. It's the most powerful thing on the planet. Because, look, whether you're a Sikh or not a Sikh, if you go Hath Jod Ke to Waheguru, to God, whatever God you believe in, if you go with humbleness, sincerity, and you're being genuine and you have a plea, Maharaj listens. In fact, Maharaj even knows that you are going to do that because he's inspired you to do that. So Maharaj knows everything. We're puppets, he's a puppet master. So for me, the most powerful tool we have is Ardas. And I'd like to make the point as well that it's not just when things are going wrong when we need support or we need strength, everyone goes to do ardas. That's like the obvious, yeah. What I feel like we should be doing is when things are doing really well, when we're doing great and things are fantastic, we should be doing even more ardas, because it's like that web that approaches someone and you don't even know it's approaching, where you can get complacent, you can get ego, and you can think, I'm doing all this stuff by myself, I don't need anything.
Yeah.
So ardas isn't just for when things are painful and times are down. It's also even more so for me, I think, when things are on the up, because that's when you can fall, and if you fall, you're gonna fall hard.
Any shout outs? I know so many other people are involved as well with Gr8 in terms of, I know there's the coaches, the fighters. Who would you like to give a shout out to?
I'd like to give a shout out to the coaches and the boxers, because at the end of the day, it's them that are jumping in the ring, and it's the coaches that have taken the time to train these fighters, commit to these fighters, and for the fighters to commit to the coaches as well. It's that bond and that relationship, and it's great to see. Like I love it when I see the bond between a fighter and a coach, because then we talked earlier about it's a life coach too. They don't just go to the coaches to learn about boxing, they go to their coaches to talk about other things. And for me, it's an amazing thing to see. We need more coaches, we need judges, we need referees. We've got our first Amritari referee that's taking part, Jyoti Singh from up north. Yeah, he's going to be the ref in Straight Up Punjab 6 in Wolves. So we need our people in these places, and the big shout out for me is to the fighters. We're really, really proud of you. In fact, the proudest thing from Gr8, like the most proudest thing for me, is that we've had kids that were very, very low on confidence. We've had kids that have been bullied at school, and we've had kids that were almost at that stage where they thought there's no point in life anymore. Not only have these kids got into gyms like Maharaj Kirpa, they're competing. And I know when I'm saying this now and people hear this recording, all you coaches, you know who they are as well. And it's not just in one city or one town, one gym, it's in multiple. Yeah, so our kids are going through a lot of stuff. To be able to get these kids in a gym, to get them to train and to get them compete, that's massive respect to the coaches. So amazing, well done to everybody. And for all them kids that are out there that are getting bullied or struggling in life and going through hard times, just reach out to Gr8 Fighters. There's so many Sikh groups out there that are doing seva. And, I would say with parents as well, support your kids, support them through everything, and speak with your kids as well. Make sure you've got a relationship with your kid that can never be broken, because our kids are going, I like to say more, but I can't, we get some crazy messages on Gr8 and our kids are going through a lot of stuff, and we need to be there as brothers, sisters, role models and parents to strengthen these kids.
100%. Someone from Basics was saying about why it's so important to focus on the kids. It's like it's a better return on your investment, in the sense that what you're gonna get from it. Like changing one kid's life, they're gonna get older, they're gonna instill those values into their kids now, and their kids and their kids. So
it's just a ripple effect, isn't it?
So growing up as a Munna, someone with cut hair, what was keeping you close to Sikhi in your household?
So I wouldn't say what was keeping me close to Sikhi, because I didn't get into Sikhi until I was mid-20s. But I remember things very, very clearly, and I'm sure this is going to resonate with other people as well. So we were a typical Punjabi household where it was very music driven, parties and all of that sort of stuff. And we didn't have any Sikhi influence. In fact, in our whole we got a massive family, the extended family, there was hardly any Senghs, Amritari Senghs. But I remember very clearly that when it was a Nagar Kirtan, my mum used to put an orange dastard on our heads. And I never used to understand why or even question why she used to do it. And we had 2 pictures in our house, 3 pictures. One was of Hari Singh Nalwa. One was of Baba Deep Singh, and he's drawing the lion through the sand.
Oh yeah.
And one was of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj giving a Shastra to Baba Ajit Singh. And my parents, so my dad, like, he never really used to talk about what these photos meant or what they signified until he had a bit to drink. So when he had it, then he used to say, do you know Hari Singh otherwise? Or do you know about Gr8 Singh Ji, Baba Deep Singh, etc.? And I remember one thing he kept saying to me was that I'm going to remove your surname. He goes, I asked for Aha when you was born, and I got Aha, and I named you Hari Singh after Hari Singh Nalwa. And he goes, when I broke my promise, I put your surname on there. So I remember when I was about 10 years old, he removed, my surname got removed completely. So it was just Hari Singh. And even then, nothing ever like struck me to think, why is dad being like this? Or why is mom putting a dastard on my head, you know, and it's orange? Honestly, from all the stuff that happened in 84 and stuff like that beyond, you find out afterwards. So these little tiny things, like just photos in your house, little things that your parents do, they keep some type of connection. Then it wasn't until I got into Sikhi and learned about all these things, and that's when it all comes flooding back. So if there's any parents out there that are on the path or are not on the path, like any little seeds that you can plant in your home, trust me, they will flourish when you get older for your kids.
Wicked.
That is amazing.
Oh, love it.
Now everything makes sense. Like my cousins do the same thing. When they're drinking, then they're like, I love Sikhi, they're talking about Sikhi and stuff in such a deep emotional way. And I'm thinking like, it's a bit random. Like you only do this when you drink, but it's not random, I guess. It's the feelings. Because obviously they see me wearing this, in my family, I'm the only one. They see me wearing the stars, so then it reminds them of what is Sikhi, what is all this. Then the conversations come out. Crazy.
All right, and that's it for this first podcast of ours. Hari Singh, we can't thank you enough for coming down and doing this first podcast with us. We appreciate, we learned so much ourselves, and we feel like it's gonna be so good for everybody listening to this, and so many takeaways from this. And can't wait for the next show. Can't wait for what's to come from Gr8. And just thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. We've
just dropped our merch on SikhWarriorProject.com. If you liked what we're wearing in this video, then please check out our website.
Every design released is inspired by the blood of martyrs.
Guys, grab yours now. The link's in the description.
And if you want a 10% discount on your first order, then use this code. I'm gonna put it right there.